At the foothills of the mighty Himalayas, there was a peaceful village of Mania. The village was surrounded by majestic hills on one side and the gushing river on the other. Near the edge of the village was an ancient banyan tree that stood as a guard between the civilization and the wilderness. The villagers feared the alleged evil spirits that were known to lurk beyond the tree in the dark forest. They worshipped the tree in hope that it would keep the spirits away. In Bamingha, there was a boy named Ishna. He lived with his Dadima in an old house by the river. Ishna's parents, both lived in the city, felt that city life was not good for a child at such an young age, and so they sent him to live with his grandmother. At first, Ishna was reluctant to come here and live away from his parents, but over time, he grew to love the beauty and serendipity around him. Dadima also loved having a grandson around and would spend her time taking care of him and tending to the little garden that was she grew back of her house. She would often tell him stories long forgotten about gods, monsters, ghosts. Ishna believed in everything that Dadima told him. Sometimes the stories scared him, and other times they made him wonder. He would constantly think about them for days and ask her questions, and Dadima patiently answered each one of them. That year, when Ishna's parents came to visit him, they brought him a shiny red tricycle. Ishna fell in love with this tricycle and would spend all day riding around the house, finding new ways to explore Dadima's garden, as he felt the cool wind caressing his cheeks. Dadima, not wanting her plans to undergo any damage than what Ishna had already inflicted upon them, told Ishna that he could ride the tricycle outside the house. He was ecstatic to hear that, for he was an explorer that was the ticket to be out under the open sky. The village street had houses on either side, with kids running around, bullock carts entering and exiting the village during the day, and she worried if letting him on her own was a mistake. But everyone in the village knew everyone else and they kept eye out for the kids. She wasn't a believer of myths surrounding the banyan tree, but knew that fear could keep Ishna safe. Before Ishna ventured out, she told him,
Son, I know you've been wanting to explore the village. Go wherever you want and make new friends. But beware the edge of the village where the banyan tree is. You remember the stories I told you? Something worse and more evil lives there who likes to take away little children's tongues. So stay away from it and come back while the sky is still blue and the sun is still shining bright.
and Dadima's words echoed inside his head, and he wondered what was there beyond the banyan tree, and why the other villagers never went there to capture the evil, who, according to Dadima, only hurt little children. The more he was told to stay away, the more he wanted to explore. On a cloudy afternoon, Ishna decided to take his tricycle out for a ride. Ishna rode towards the edge of the village. He saw the banyan tree looking ancient and mighty. He stood once again face to face with curiosity and wondered what would happen if he would just went a little further. He knew Dadima would scold him and there was a possibility of losing his tongue, but he wanted to see the tree. He took a deep breath and cycled a little further. And before he realized it, he was standing near the roots of the tree jutting out under the ground. Then he realized that there sat an old lady. His heart tottered and his scream was caught in his throat. He was about to turn around and cycle as fast as his legs would allow him. When the lady walked him towards, she smiled.
What are you doing here, young man?
Who are you? I have never seen you in the village.
Ishna continued to stare at her, awestruck with what he had discovered. He couldn't help but wonder if this was evil Dadima had warned him about. But this old lady looked older than Dadima, but she had the same kind eyes like hers. Ishna had never seen her in the village before, but somehow her face comforted him a bit. She walked with an old wooden stick, and one hand on her hip, and her back was bent, which reminded Ishna of a camel's hump.
Beta, do you want some strawberries? I picked them this morning.
Ishna loved strawberries, and seeing her kind old face, he did not have any reason to be scared for. Besides, there was not a single evil monster from Dalima's stories who ate strawberries. He accepted her offer and munched on the fruit, but never took his eyes off of her.
Who are you? I have never seen you in the village.
Beta, I've always lived here. You might have missed this old hag during your expeditions, for I have seen you riding your old tricycle.
Why are you sitting under the tree? Dadima told to come back home soon because it might rain. You should go home. I will drop you at home.
Beta, when I want to rest, I come here and enjoy the shade and comfort it provides to me. This will protect me from the rain too.
What do you need to rest from, Dadiji? You should not work now. You must need rest all the time.
I was looking for fresh fruits to make cake. I got tired and decided to take some rest. And I really don't think you should go beyond this tree. Why don't I tell you a story? Maybe that will convince you to stay away. It is from my childhood that and one that is more real than what the villagers tell you about the forest. It happened when I was 12 years old. So, you see, like you, I also wanted to explore the forest. My younger brother and I used to spend our days exploring the village and the hills nearby. Like your Dadima, our parents warned us about the evil and lives beyond this very tree. While my brother was a timid little scaredy cat, I was a brave girl who would not rest until I had all the answers, and the evil did not scare me one bit. But you know what? It should have.
Chotu, look, it is such a beautiful day. The sky is so bright, and I bet the forest wouldn't be as dark as it usually looks. We can go beyond the edge of the village and explore what awaits us there. We will go and come back before sunset. No one will know we are gone.
But Daddy will know we're not here. She always keeps an eye on us even when she sits in her garden.
We will tell her we are going to the market to buy vegetables and milk. Don't you see? We will be able to see what lies beyond. Maybe there will be more trees we can pick fruits from or bushes we can pick berries from. What if we see strange animals who can talk or find fairies?
I managed to convince him to go along with the lie and to come with me to Banyan Tree. When we got here, it was a sight to behold even back then. Its arms reached for the sky, the roots hung like a swing, but that day we weren't there for the tree. We wanted to see what lies beyond. I looked I took the first step towards the forest. Nothing happened. So I took another step. Silence is what seemed to welcome us. So I took step after step into the forest. My brother followed me into this wild jungle, shivering with fear. We were quite far into the forest when something came at us out of nowhere.
Who came out of the forest?
Oh, look, it's starting to rain. Dadima would be so upset. Go on and hurry back. I will tell you the rest of the story tomorrow. If and only if you bring me strawberries. But always remember, sometimes it is okay to not seek all the answers. Some things are better left undisturbed and unanswered. Remember this, and you will find the contentment and learn to let go of things that hold no importance in your life.
Then it hit Ishna that he had to make it back to the river. Geeta auntie saw him pedal on his tricycle back home, but it was starting to pour heavily and called out to him.
Ishana, come here or you'll be wet by the time you reach home. Come inside, I have made some halwa. What were you doing outside in this weather? You'll get sick.
Auntie, I was just riding my tricycle around. I had planned to go back early as Dadima told it will rain.
You were near the banyan tree, weren't you? I saw you coming from there.
Don't tell Dadima, please. She will get really angry. But I wanted to know why we can't go there. I met an old lady who told me how she ventured into the forest when she was very young. If she can't, why can't I?
Ishana, who did you meet? There's no such lady in this village who has ever
But
dared.
she did, along with her younger brother. And then something came at them. She didn't tell.
Well, I don't know how that is possible, but it looks like you are talking about Amrita and her little brother Raj. About 70 years ago, they went deep into the forest. Then too, the banyan tree was the limit of the village, but they decided to go beyond it and never returned. When they searched, they found the body of a boy in the forest, but the girl was never found. No one knows what happened to them, and if the girl is still alive, if what you saw was true, she would be an old lady if she is alive.
Ishna's young mind was not able to fully comprehend what happened. Was it the ghost she saw? She looked pretty alive for 10 donating strawberries. The next day, he decided to go see the Dadi at the tree again because he was not scared anymore. This time, he took some strawberries on his tricycle and went there. But she was nowhere to be seen. He left the strawberries there for her nonetheless. He was still curious about what attacked them and how the story ended. At the end of that summer, his parents decided that he needed more formal education. So they decided to take him to the city to continue the education. He said goodbye to the hills and got used to the city life. A few years later, he came back to Dadima's house for the summer holidays. As he was strolling through the village, he saw the same banyan tree at a distance. Somehow, the old lady's message was etched into his subconscious mind. He was as curious as ever, but he knew better than to obsessively be focused on things that will lead to dead ends and no satisfactory solutions. That is how, over the years, he had come to terms with who Dadiji was and how her story ended.